What's going on, Savages? Much love, much respect. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Savage Studios. If you like the video, feel free to smash that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. If you subscribe, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified of any other future videos I've got coming out. And drop a comment, because unlike a lot of other people, I will respond, and I do like your feedback and thoughts and opinions. It's always interesting, and at the very least, tends to make me laugh my ass off. So, what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about booty bandits, right? They've been around from the beginning of time. I'm sure there was cavemans running around humping on other cavemen, right? When they were supposed to be with a cave woman, right? So, does it still happen in prison? Is it still prevalent? Are people still doing this to people? Are people's cheeks being took? We got all these people talking about busting cheeks. Well, the truth is in, and I can tell you from personal experience of being there and witnessing in the same housing unit. There was a couple of times where I had a very strong notion that something was happening to somebody a few cells down. And when push came to shove, you know, they kind of got separated from the cellies, you know, kind of asked them what was going on. Didn't really want to say what happened. But when he finally did and opened up, you know, his butthole was being played with. And it's unfortunate. And I don't want to make light of the situation because it is a serious situation. But this has been happening from the beginning. You know, in the 80s, this was almost acceptable amongst every race. You know, us personally, Mexicans and our race, we never really played that kind of stuff. But I can't speak for the OGs because I wasn't even really there. So at the end of the day, who knows what happened on the low? All I do know is that that's always been against, you know, kind of the Mexican policies. You know what I mean? And not to take shots at anybody else, because that's not what I'm really trying to do. It's just the facts are the facts, you know, and that's not really a big deal to other races. So who's this crazy booty bandit that just is the one who takes the cake in all of CDCR? Anyone who's done time in Corcoran around the early 90s or so and has been floating around there probably has heard of this person. I actually heard of this person while reading a book one time in prison, and I want to say it was called Gag Order or something along those lines. I'll have to look it up for you guys. But it described this inmate, right, whose actual name is Wayne Robertson. And he was, you know, 6'2", 220. They described him as being buffed out. But he was actually an enforcer for the COs. Actually would rape other inmates at the request of COs to teach them how to do their time or be their punishment. So one main case that hit the light, right? They didn't even finish doing the whole testifying thing, going to court, because there was lawsuits behind this until the early, like 2001, 1999, 2000, 2001. It was an individual by the name of Eddie Dillard. I want to say they were both from the same gang, the same Compton gang. Whether one was a Blood, one was a Crip, whether they're from the same car, not the gang, I don't know. But I do know both of them were, from the reports that I read on the news, that they were both from the same gang. So you think either they're both Crips or they're both Bloods. So they had a run-in before they were Cellies in Corcoran Shoe. They had actually had a run-in in Tehachapi. And I guess what it says on the report, it says that Robertson tried to make a sexual advance toward Eddie, right? Toward Eddie Dillard. And they got into a fight. Boom. They get down. They start squabbling, right? They're enemies now. After the fact that they're enemies, speed up years later, they're in Corcoran Shoe. From what I've been told by OGs who were there that actually knew about this story, because I used to hear stories about this shit too. He actually was, the Eddie Dillard guy was about 120 pounds, a real small individual, and he attacked a female staff. So when he got to Corcoran Shoe, come on, this guy had over dozens of bodies that he had raped, booties that he had took, you know, cheeks that he had busted. So this guy has dozens of booties under his belt, right? This guy is a designated cheek buster, all that stuff, right? So, of course, these are how these crooked COs are going to play this. They're going to say, okay, you want to bomb on one of ours, let alone a female of ours? Cool, we got some medicine for you. So they proceed. Whether that's right or wrong, that's up to you guys to decide. Where I stand with the situation is, you gotta be ready, man. You gotta be ready. If you weigh 120 pounds, man, you better be able to fight like something else. You better just spend all day long fighting. You better just fight for fun, just to learn how to fight, just to be good at it. Practice martial arts or something. But if you do some shit like that and you bomb on a female staff, you got some shit coming from them COs, and you better accept it. Would I rather just get screwed over and stomped out, other than being thrown in this cell with this dude? Obviously, because I know if I'm thrown in this cell with this dude, I'm gonna try to kill this man instantly. I'm gonna just, it is what it is. I'm not gonna stop until I'm dead or he's dead, and that's it. You ain't taking cheeks, you ain't busting cheeks, you ain't doing none of that. So Eddie Diller, 120 pounds, look like, for how the court transcripts described him, they said he looked like a little teenager, right? So it was like 3 COs and Decker, the Sergeant Decker, and they all end up going to court. They all end up, Decker actually shook his head, smirked, and sat there and said, here comes the showtime. You know, it's showtime now. Basically insinuating that Eddie Diller was lying. So what happens was, after that first fight they got into, they were documented enemies. So he gets into the cell. Dude's in the cell, turns around and tells the CO, hey, I can't be in here. He's my documented enemy. CO says, hey, don't trip. I'm going to go look into it and I'll come back. Goes, never comes back. He gets raped all through the night. According to Robertson's own testimony, he says, I sodomized Eddie Diller all night. Raped him for 3 days straight. Raped him. Finally, when they took Robertson out for like a committee hearing or something like that, and they go to bring him back and the cell opens, Eddie runs out of the cell and says, I ain't going back, right? His spirit's broken, booty's blown out. I can't do this no more. That's what he's saying. So that's the number one most crucial booty bandit that I've ever heard of in CDCR. Has got about documented, got over 2 dozen asses he didn't took. So now the question is, just to transfer off of that story, does this still happen? Are people still losing, their cakes in prison? And from my experience, I've heard and seen a couple things, that was kind of foul. And then I remember being at Corcoran, a kid had died by a transgender inmate, and had the transgender killed him and stuck a tube sock all the way down his throat. So, of course, it still happens, and it's probably going to continue to happen so long as you live in a cell with a man that you don't know, that may have problems you don't know. The good thing I could say this is, if you're GP, you don't really have to worry about that issue if you're, amongst homies or the woods and shit like that. And even most African Americans ain't with none of that stuff, and the gang politics is real too. But it's more likely to happen if you were running with, the blacks or, something like that. That's the only time that something like that could happen. But predominantly, that's some S and Y shit. That's some old S and Y shit. And that's the shit that, you don't accept that. Whether you're S and Y or GP, you don't accept that on your block. You don't accept that in the unit that you're in. Dudes like that get mashed out. Unfortunately, when things like that happen, it happens within the cell, and by the time people find out, it's just too late. Little homie done got raped or got his cheeks took by somebody. It's more cutthroat in S and Y because they just throw anybody with anybody. They could throw a little skinny little Mexican kid with the 6'5" black dude who just want to take his ass. Or they could do it vice versa with a 6'something Mexican guy who want to do it to a black kid. But we all know Mexicans ain't even 6'5" in the first place. No hate, much love, my raza, much love. But we're just keeping it real. But let's back it on up. Let's get back to this point. So they started some shit called PREA, right? I really didn't even trip it till I ended up going to Bakersfield County Jail. That county jail was weird as fuck. So I'm in Bakersfield County Jail for another 5 years. I'm facing another 5 years for some dope that I had got caught with, pushing it and shit in Kern Valley, which is a 180 level 4 and shit. So when it was my parole date, 2015, August 8th, 2015 I was supposed to parole because that was gonna be my mark to parole. And guess what? Lo and behold, I had another 5 years tacked on. So when parole date came, all I did was catch that bus straight down to county jail, Bakersfield County Jail. And when I was down there, I kept seeing these fucking signs on the walls that said PREA. So I didn't even really trip it, right? So I get to this little pod and shit, and I know homie, like, people are making jokes and shit, and they're like, man, kick back before I PREA your ass out of here. And I kept hearing that shit. So I'm like, what the fuck what do you mean PREA somebody? PREA him out of the block, PREA him out of, what you mean? And they're like, bro, you can get on that on the phone, call the sign, because they had a number. Call PREA, and they'll remove you out of the unit, the inmate out of the unit that you're accusing. PREA stands for the Prison Rape Elimination Act, right? So you know shit was real if they had to have a whole PREA fucking movement. You know people was really getting them cheeks busted, right? So I just tripped out when I seen it, because I didn't, you know, being on a level 4 180, even SMY, you know, the homies that I was with in the yards that I was on, we don't function like that, you know. I mean, if there's gays, the gays are with the gays, and they take each other's shit mutually and consensually, right? But other than that, you just you know, I didn't think there was no real big need for that shit. You know, it was just a far and few thing. And if you're on a 180 in the first place in a level 4, how I see it, bro, you better be there because you violent, bro. You better be there because you really with it, you know. Not so you can go put in work, but just so you better be able to defend your ass cheeks if a motherfucker want to take them. Because when you on the level 4s, even the 270s, that's a lifer majority. The majority of inmates there are lifers. Now you have a lot of screw-ups and knuckleheads, dummies like myself, who ended up with, you know, close to 200 and something points and just can't never get off the level 4, but still have a release date. So just to like sum shit up and bring it all in, right? From my personal experience in California prisons, the booty bandit shit is at a minimum, right? Like, from what I've seen and what I know, it's at a minimum. But it's crazy that the cops literally in the 90s had a booty bandit enforcer and actually gave them little favors to be that guy who took asses for them to kind of keep that jailhouse justice going. So just thought I'd share this with you, man. Go ahead, I'll drop some links. Check it out. Read the story. It's pretty damn crazy. Wayne Robertson, this guy, they call AKA Smiley. This dude was just booty bandit of the century, of the generation, whatever you call it. CDCR booty bandit poster child was this fool, right? So, hey, until next time, you know, I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. And, you know, go ahead and subscribe, drop a comment. Let me know, shit, what would you do? What the hell would you do if they put you in a cell with somebody who was trying to snatch your cookies? What would it be? What would you do? Man, I would look at that CO. He tell me to go in that cell. And I know this dude's a booty bandit. And that CO tell me to go in there. Bro, I'm going to look at the CO. I'm going to look at this dude. And I'm going to start maxing out that CO. Because you start maxing out that inmate, all they going to do is just lock the door and probably let you guys just go at it until you kill him. You beat the shit out of the CO, though, that's going to cause everyone to whoop your ass, beat you down, pepper spray you. You know, incident report. It's going to get more people involved to where they can't do no secretive shit like that and tuck you in. Dude was screaming. Dude ran out of the cell after 3 days. 3 days of pure hell. They say while he testified, he was sobbing. That he don't even want to remember it, but he can only remember again and again and again being sodomized. That's a scary damn story for y'all. It's all fun and dandy with all this politics stuff, but what would you do if you landed in the cell with somebody who was really up on you, trying to get on you? Go ahead and drop that comment and let me know. Till the next time, much love to my savage family. Deuces.